This movie is messed up. Welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Well, about a couple weeks ago or so, one of my viewers reached out to me and recommended a movie called The Coffee Table. And Mike, I know you're watching this video, and bro, what the heck, man? I don't know whether to thank you for the recommendation or to be absolutely appalled. But anyways, seriously, thanks for the recommendation, though. You are not messing around. So I had no idea anything about this movie. I'd never heard of it, pulled it up on IMDb. And it came out in 2022. It's a Spanish language movie, Spanish production. Came out in 2022 there, but didn't come out till this year here in the States. And so it's a new release, and I was like, all right, well, this, it's a new release, could be interesting. Let's give it a watch. And oh my Lord, this movie it's just messed up. So I'm going to get into my thoughts on this thing. So here we go. So The Coffee Table tells the story of a newly married couple, Jesus and Maria, and not only are they newly married, they've just had their first child, and they go to a furniture store and buy a coffee table. And the purchase of this coffee table is going to change their lives in unexpected ways. And that is literally all I knew going into this. Didn't watch any previews or trailers. But then I also saw that it is supposedly a dark comedy and horror movie. And let me tell you, I was not prepared for what unfolded. Now, typically when it comes to films that are disturbing, shocking, they really kind of lean into the disturbing, shocking elements. It's kind of just a 50-50 toss-up for me, because to me, the story and the characters always come first. I can get on board with some of the intense, crazy stuff as long as there's a good story or interesting characters within it. A lot of times, those types of movies exist just simply to be disturbing for the sake of being disturbing. They exist just for the shock factor. And so, to me, I don't really get a whole lot out of it. There's got to be a little bit more depth to it. Well, the case of The Coffee Table, it is very disturbing and upsetting and very shocking, but I do think that it is a well-executed film that goes beyond just the disturbing, shocking factor within the movie. Now, I'm going to be pretty vague when talking about any of the events in the movie, as this is kind of another one that, it's good to go in as blind as possible. And so I'll be kind of vague there and mostly just kind of focus on my reaction and response to it all. Now, something shocking happens about 15 minutes in, and the rest of the film is built around that situation and the aftermath of that situation. And let me tell you, the tone of this movie is unlike anything I've really ever experienced. And I can say pretty much definitively, this film has the most dark and depraved sense of humor that I have probably ever seen in any movie. And it sounds crazy to say, but it actually kind of works. There are a handful of moments in this movie where I just kind of shook my head at the screen and started just kind of laughing because of the sheer insanity of it all. The director here takes the most horrifically awful situation and somehow injects humor of the most twisted and messed up kind and somehow fuses those two things together. Let me tell you, those are like two things that should not go together. It should not work, and somehow it kind of does. The Coffee Table is like an exercise in mood and tone, and it's just a wild ride. These two things, should go together like oil and water. Again, you should not be able to fit these two tones together, and somehow he is kind of able to pull it off. And it's just wild. I'm still kind of at a loss for words to describe my thoughts and feelings on this movie. It's just such a crazy, wild experience. Now, as I said, I think the film is actually executed pretty well beyond just the shock factor and the disturbing nature of it. I think the performances are pretty solid. I think the writing of the characters are pretty solid as well. There is just a sense of impending doom and dread and anxiety that permeates through this movie. And also, too, in terms of how it's presented, it nearly kind of takes place like in real time. I mean, for the most part. And so there's just kind of this natural suspense that's sort of built into the unfolding situation that's going on. And so that was a pretty, well executed element of the film as well. A lot of it feels just very like natural and realistic, like how a scenario like this could actually play out. But then there's this scene later on in the movie at the dinner table where the director kind of adds in and edits in some artistic flourishes, and it kind of gets a little abstract and stuff like that, which I really liked. If I was to add any sort of criticism, I wish there was a little bit more to the story. It's pretty minimal, and everything is just kind of built around this scenario. It by no means gets boring or anything like that, but I wish there was maybe just a little bit more to it. I have to give just a couple brief thoughts on the ending, and of course, I won't get into any spoilers, but let me just tell you this. The ending to this movie is something I can honestly tell you I will never forget. It is just this combination of just pure horrific chaos and insanity and depravity. I've honestly just never really seen anything quite like it. There's a moment that occurred where I kind of it started dawning on me what was getting ready to happen. And no kidding, I'm sitting there watching the movie and saying out loud, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Like, it's just wild. You kind of just have to see it again. You have to see it to believe it. It's wild stuff. Now, typically, I like to give movies a grade, like a number out of 10. I'm not going to do that for this movie because to me, it's like, what's the point? This is a film that I would not recommend for like 98% of people, okay? 98% of people this is like going to be probably a 0 out of 10. I don't even know that I would recommend this to like general horror movie fans. But if you consider yourself a hardcore horror film fan, this is a must watch. I would say you gotta watch it. If you are a hardcore horror fan, yeah, definitely check this out. You will not forget it. So you have been warned. Proceed with caution. But yeah, The Coffee Table, man, it's a wild one. It's just a wild, insane movie. So anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts. Mike, thanks for the recommendation, dude. Good grief. Anyways, hit me up down below if you have seen this thing. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. So that's all I got for you. Thank you once again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.